words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And good evening and welcome to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. And today is November 4th, and no, it isn't. It's the 5th. So we're going to play this thing that's about November 4th and to see if anybody, until we see if anybody shows up in here. Up in here. That's the way it's said. Good morning and welcome again to guncalendars.com, where we attempt to archive daily firearms history. So today we have a couple of items in the calendar and they're both completed. So first off is Bill Wilson from Wilson Combat, the company, a firearms manufacturer. Was born today in 1953. So lots of interesting history of this guy. I'm not completely familiar, but we do have some information here on the site about his career. He's a competition shooter who is also one to work on his machines, and when other people saw some of the improvements he made, he began offering those to others, and then became a company, and then eventually full-fledged firearm manufacturer. I believe they make their own ammo at this point, and a big reputation for a long time in the firearms industry. So Bill Wilson, born today, say happy birthday. And it's also the anniversary of the Gatling gun being patented. Pretty cool day to have a birthday, I suppose. So Gatling gun patented back in 1862. Today, November 4th. It says, it occurred to me if I could invent a machine, a gun which could, by its rapidity of fire, enable one man to do as much battle duty as 100, that it would, to a large extent, supersede the necessity of large armies, and consequently, exposure to battle and disease greatly diminished. So he built the ultimate gun in order to end wars, and unfortunately, backfired on him. So, backfired. Have that in the list. It took the 1911 to end world wars. Anyway, this is Gun Calendars, not the other site where we have the gun language. But that's the stuff for November 4th. If you know more stuff that we're missing on the calendar, please let us know. Our goal is to have something for every single day of the year. Let us know in the comments what you think. As always, thanks for watching. All right, that took 3 minutes. What was I doing with this? That it says 500 right here. All right. So, let's see. Good advice. You shouldn't be fighting, though. In the new futures, let's not fight. Ooh, so we'll see if anybody shows up tonight. Here's the deal. We've been doing this chat for like 4 years, 5 years. Doesn't matter. There's no way to keep track. But we're on episode 1200 something, and that's a lot of episodes. So we've had different, what do we call them? We've had different formats for the show over the years, and right now it's an open format. We, unlike the cowards during the daily shows, daily gun shows, or sometimes the shows that are on during the day, they don't have the cojones, that's what we say here, to allow you people, the people that just watch these things normally, to give you the golden access to the VIP access to the behind the scenes, the extreme behind the scenes of a real gun conversation. Because we have faith that the people that are out there are the community and whatnot. So we're not creating yet another thing to watch. We're participating in a thing to be part of. So that's what it's all about right now. It's 5 minutes in. Usually I spend the first little while moping about nobody jumping in here and blah, blah, blah. So here's the link so you can jump in. And I start saying stuff like this. If nobody jumps in, I got nothing to say. So it'll end pretty quick. We already looked at the calendar, which is one of the projects we're working on. There's like 100 projects we work on. So kind of lots of stuff to talk about. But one of my projects ain't talking about projects. So I don't make a big script or any kind of stuff to talk about here. So we'll, super boring. I shouldn't start the show if nobody jumps in here. Just make it some kind of rule where if there's nobody jumps in, no show. There's a DJ jumping in, so we got a show.
Hey, how you doing tonight? Just finished watching Yankee and waiting for you to go live here.
Yeah, basically cutting into my time, quarking me. That's one way to quark. Invite you into the show so that you quark your own show. At least that's what he tried to do. Luckily, I can start the show whenever I want. Let's see. Lips one out of banality. Yes. Oh, snap.
And yeah, speaking of, and up he comes. There's Clover caught you in the chat group during his show this afternoon too.
I think I told you this, that the other day, Gizzard show, I think Sunday morning's Gizzard show.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I told you this or not. I know I've said this before, but I don't know if it was Clover or not. But anyway, you guys were chatting in there, and I typed in like Q minus sign. What do you think if SHOT Show should go to Texas or Tulsa? And then I hit like enter, and then the phone that I'd been like on hold for a million years, and I made like 6 calls, and I kept getting hold, and I figured they weren't open yet, so I just kept calling to get in the queue or whatever. Of course, as soon as I hit enter, the operator answers, and I begin an hour plus long phone call that we can talk about off air because it was a great phone call, business phone call. But totally, like as soon as I hit Q, like I have no idea if you guys addressed it, but if you did, it was sometime after I hit the enter button, right? And then by the time I got back, I think the show was even over. So I totally missed whatever conversation I might have started with. What about, because I'd asked earlier in the show, but I think this was like the second time I had asked when like Ghost and everybody was in there.
Right.
So I have no idea what answers came up there. So I'm curious. And then today, Joe, right? Like I don't hardly ever talk to Joe because of all the shit that's happening right now. So Joe called me like 4 minutes before your show started. I had it over on the other machine, so that I don't have to sit there. I just leave it on that machine. And, when live shows go on, they just start making noise. So, you can look over and see what's going on, what's making all that noise. Oh, this show started. So like 4 minutes before you started, he called me, and then same thing. Like, I think I came in towards the very end of your show.
All right.
But anyway, so yeah, I totally missed whatever y'all were talking about today, and anybody's opinion. What was in a nutshell? Anybody have any like awesome ideas, like call an SSF and get it in Dallas?
No, I mean we talked about how Vegas is conducive to that sort of thing. We kind of discussed between tonight and Sunday, best I can remember. Kind of also discuss logistically with how the companies plan, and a lot of them have their booths, and their booths are stored year round in that place. So, you're dealing with issues where, with Vegas it's a tourist town, it's a travel town type thing, and so, is other places going to have all of that? And if not, well, even if they do, how long is it going to take to get everything switched up, set up? And if they don't, maybe open up some things, right? Get some of that stuff in play. Next thing is the contractual obligations that they have, right? So a lot of talking on, how difficult it would be potentially to move it, more so than, how about petitioning to do it? I've got another thought on that I didn't even think about. And while you were kind of asking about that this time, it crossed my mind. And I thought, okay, if they move it, what is to stop? I don't know. There's just a lot of negatives around it. Travel. I mean, there's a lot of things. But if they move it, what? Who's to say that political climate with mayors or governors or whatever doesn't change in the area that they move it to, and then they're right back to square one after all of the scramble to get it moved in the first place. You know what I mean?
Well, sure, that's a potential, I suppose. But I thought you were going to go with some other way because I've heard so many people. I'm just so sick of, in general, the concept of like, "Oh, I told you so," or "Oh, I knew that was coming." Right?
Right.
So as soon as like they announce that they're not going to do it, I was trying to wade through like, I don't need to know. I already know this person is like that. I don't need to hear them say it again. So I'm trying not to see the posts where I'm assuming that's what they're
Right.
saying, type of shit.
Yeah.
So, but still trying to weed through and find something because I didn't come up with the move to Texas. I was just like, dang it, like, why can't they not do this? But then before I had a chance to do anything, so I seen a post, like say the opposite, a post that was,
Right.
I call it positive, or at least thinking outside the box. And I forget whose post it was, but somebody had mentioned, or maybe it was a comment even, but something put the idea in there, and I'm like, oh snap, what a missed opportunity. So yeah, I mean, okay, there's all that stuff, sure. But the thing is, SHOT Show, since it started in 1979, it didn't stay in one place until 2010, and then until 2010, it hasn't moved. So, you've heard me bitch about it before. This is like actually one of the worst venues. It's shitty and old, and there's no lights, and it's shitty compared to the ones I have been in. The other Vegas one, which is just across the freaking street, really, and it's got glass. So, I mean, the reason this one is gloomy is because we're all used to having SHOT Shows always with daylight. There was always daylight in most of SHOT Show because the what do you call them? The convention centers have had glass in them.
Right.
This one, I don't know why they put movies in there. Like, I don't know why they decided let's not put any lighting at all. Let's have to pay for all of our lighting. It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, that part, it's like they used to move just like NRA. And I mean, I don't know. I think that's a benefit, I guess. I mean, it's been kind of nice for me because I'm 15 minutes away from Vegas, right? But if it was on the other side of the world or Florida or something, I'd be the most outspoken butthurt, right? Because it would cost me $3,000 to go to Vegas every year or to go to SHOT Show every year.
Right.
But anyway, so moving it around at least gives everybody at least some, I don't want to say equitable, but closer to, ability to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear about, if you know people that are doing it, it's obviously the thing. I just didn't, I know people have stuff for SHOT, but most of them go to other events. Like the way that they make it, a thing is to go to 2 or 3 events maybe, or some of them have people permanently on the road. So those setups at SHOT certainly aren't anywhere for any more than, storage for like a day or two because they're constantly going to the next place. They're set up, they're being torn down and moved to the next place. They have multiple crews even sometimes. Some stuff like the Glock one and Smith and Wesson. I mean, they're always being moved and put up. They might even have multiple booths because there's so many military shows and other kind of shows that they go to. Or like the boots and pants, like they're going to go to outdoor shows. They're going to go to other types of shows besides SHOT Show. But I guess, like you say, if there are ones that are being stored there, then yeah, that'd be a thing. But the part about Vegas being Vegas is it was neat when it went to Vegas because you'd have all the crap in Vegas. But like when it was in Orlando, what does there do to Orlando? Like all the Disneyland crap and whatever restaurants and stuff. Like, I don't think we even thought about that. Now, we weren't as savvy. So it's not like, we were in our couple of years in, so we were still wide-eyed and still figuring shit out. But I didn't get the idea that a bunch of people were out partying. They do in Vegas because it's literally right there.
Right.
But all kinds of stuff was happening. It's just that it would happen at a specific place and they might take a bar. Like you guys, I don't think you guys have ever gone to one of the parties where there's like buses going to it. And afterwards there's like, well, which way do you want to go? Wink, wink, back to your hotel or to the after party and get on the next bus. And, there's some adventures that happen. Well, they've happened everywhere, but in Vegas they happen at the places. But again, that's because it's in Vegas. I mean, you'd have to do something to get away from Vegas. But in Florida, that stuff still happened. There was still like an event somewhere, and people got bused to it and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And as far as the hotels and things, like, you've been to the kind of things, I think you guys have been to the, oh, I don't know, maybe a manufacturer or a group or something will have like a suite or something in the hotel room that's
Right.
not part of the show, but you can walk up to the rooms to get it to it. That kind of stuff can happen in any hotel. But again, yeah, I don't know. And I don't think it necessarily needed to be SHOT Show again. It could have just been like, the SHOT, whatever. So come up with some clever name for the, scab show that, just we wanted to still do something. That's all I'm getting at. Like, but I hear you, there's contracts and shit. But honestly, I thought too, like, it's an opportunity for them to finally go, you know what? We don't have 100% on board with being in Sands. So this is an opportunity to break those contracts, or at least try. And, and honestly, who cares? If at some point they go, you know what, we made a bad decision and it costs us money to break these contracts. Well, effing, that's why you have money for it. Break your fucking contracts, pay for it, and let's have SHOT Show someplace decent again. Or at least change it up. Maybe I'm totally wrong and it's going to suck in Dallas. It's just that after going to I went to Gun Rights Policy in Dallas. Obviously, it was just a taste of Dallas, but Dallas seemed pretty damn cool. I think it'd be neat to have it in Dallas.
Yeah.
Certainly have some opportunities around, as much as we'd have in Vegas. Maybe not right as close, but anyway. And I guess that, I don't know, unless you guys want to keep throwing something in here, I don't need to rant. But I'm all excited to have Clover in here because, oh shit, you were either in or adjacent to a conversation. And you know what it's like when you're in a text listening, there's some lag, and whatever you can actually write in the 200 characters it gives us in a text. And if that's going to get across to the actual, it's not going to get to the conversation you're having because of the lags. And by the time you're not necessarily going to read everything as it pops up. So by the time you actually read it, you might not even realize at first what I'm replying to. But basically, it's the concept that, and then it might have been even when you guys were talking about Tulsa tonight that it re-sparked this concept. And I'm trying to even come up with it here, but SHOT Show, the tradition, right? NRA, the tradition, not the tediousness, but the tradition, 170 years. Boy Scouts is another big one, the tradition. I'm seeing that kind of stuff. Not all this year, right? Boy Scouts kind of got hit in the nuts a couple of years back, and then people been nibbling at it. But basically, I've seen some what I consider to be core, fundamental things that not necessarily, mandate participation, but the fact that they're there gives, the community at large the idea that there's some fundamentals, foundational shit, some stuff that's been lasting a long time, some tradition. And I see that kind of stuff, I guess, what's the word, like less, and not just less enthusiasm, because there's always been waxing and waning enthusiasm for any kind of tradition, but like the almost like intentional or motivated dismissal, like I can't believe like you still like that. Like there's like a cultural maybe like wave of like disapproval of any tradition, which I can understand, like being skeptical of tradition. But again, like just the kind of systematic, like let's get rid of this. And then like the casual, me and my opinion of people with their opinions of the NRA, my opinion of people opinions, like, oh, the NRA, big deal, watch it burn. Now we're seeing SHOT Show. Oh, big deal, SHOT Show. Who cares? It's sick of it. It's about time it changed anyway. Like, are we just watching people falling into the manipulation?
I think that you've hit on something that's fundamental and a fundamental flaw, I guess, of society. And I've been seeing it for a while. There is little to no sentiment anymore for anything, right? With tradition or whatever, like, you're talking about. And I'll give you an example. I was talking with a gentleman the other day that had a rifle. I couldn't tell. He sent me a picture, said he was trying to sell it. Turns out it was a, what's the Japanese with the mom? I can't even think. Help me out here.
Arisaka.
Yeah, the Arisaka. I'm sorry, my medicine's kicking in pretty heavy right now. I'm gonna have to bail in a little bit. But anyway, it was an Arisaka, and according to him, a bring back from his grandfather, and he's trying to sell it. I'm just not into that kind of gun, And I'm thinking, what an idiot! His grandfather brings back an
You're
Arasaka.
saying that his what he said to you was he's not interested in that gun. You're not
Right.
saying you or Clover Tack is okay. I get you.
No, I'm saying that the guy trying to sell it was trying to sell it because he's not interested in that, in a bolt action rifle, blah, blah, blah.
Even though this is my grandpa's bring back, it
Yeah.
doesn't float my boat, so it's commodity.
Right. Right. And I'm like, where is the sentiment and the, it goes into what you were talking about with
Respect.
tradition, right?
Respect. It does. It like if my grandma had a thing that I didn't understand, like so my grandma had some glass shit that is like I don't know, it's glass shit, right? It's not even art. I guess it's art. It's not even like useful vase or something. It's just art. But she really fucking dug this shit. I respect that. I don't know anything about it. I don't break it, and I keep it.
Yeah.
You try to find a legacy person to pass stuff on to as well. I'm faced with these huge collections that I've amassed and no heirs. So there's a local uh, joint that has a vinyl library that's just huge. And I help them, sort through stuff, alphabetize and the like. And they're going to it's going to be the my name collection, and I'll get the labels printed up so that it's down in there in the corner of the over sleeves. And I have to think about my firearms. I'm not really interested in selling them so much as I am in giving those away as well. And stuff like comics and baseball cards. Find a kid, stoke them out. Doesn't have to be mine to make it important.
If you want to just anonymously give away stuff, you just tie a bunch of helium balloons to it and let it go.
Like those steel targets that you can pick up at Wanamaker. What was it? Primo targets, Clover.
Yeah, well, there's several, but
if he makes a bunch of money, like with that idea, I feel like I should get some. I was gonna say drones, but that would be noisy, so I figured helium balloons would be better.
Right.
But they could probably put some kind of advertising on, like Trump or whatever, and then like you just look around. There's a bunch of these like floating advertisements, but they're really just carrying around all the heavy stuff for old people.
Right.
Yeah, you can get those remote control dirigibles, and I imagine that the most common one would be the Goodyear blimp, and then probably the Hindenburg after that. So you could probably, even these days, because everything's all slimmed down and thin, you could probably get an LED display to light up along the side.
Have you ever seen one of those things move?
Only indoors. They're pretty slow, but I dug it.
Ultimately slow, but that's exactly what it would be like behind somebody at a gun show. Like come on, guy, like with those fans going, trying to push that giant football thing. This doesn't make any sense. I inherited my grandfather's deer rifle, so therefore he can eat deer anytime he wants. I don't hunt deer, so he's chose not to. But I'll starve before I'd sell it. So you'd go kill a deer and eat the deer before you'd sell it, right? So you'd never starve if you got your deer rifle.
Right. Yep.
So anyway, so taking apart the traditions, the big things you're saying over here, and I think I got these in order. Oh yeah, Foss is saying, Clover, will not having SHOT Show have a great effect on the industry, or will everything else that's happening this year negate SHOT Show, even though it's next year? And then DJ said, SHOT is essential, and then you go, I don't think it'll ultimately matter too much, or is that some other answer to something else?
No, if you're talking about, assuming that it comes back, it's going to be, we're still here, and 2020 has been absolutely just bonkers. So, we will adapt. The industry will adapt. What that's going to look like, who knows? But I don't think a year. I don't think missing one SHOT Show. Now, if 2022 rolls around and for whatever reason they cancel it and they just keep on and keep on and keep, it never comes back, then potentially, yeah, there may be an issue. But realize too, and I said this earlier in my chat, that a lot of people don't realize that SHOT Show is business to business. It's really the business side of things. And when you started first going and stuff like that, it grew into a media, like they were doing their business to business, but media was kind of there to showcase a lot of the nice,
Well,
shiny pretties.
media was there in a big way, but because media was different, it interacted in a different way. Because you were taking a photograph, and that photograph wouldn't come out in an article until August, there
Right.
was no urgency or any kind of fastness, or it was all at a snail's pace there, and anything could be done there because there was this filter of like only a few pictures were ever going to make it out of there, and they wouldn't be till forever, and like 8 editors would see them. So there's absolutely no possibility of somebody's indiscretion, or I worked here and now I work there, or what was that guy talking to that guy in the background of that picture. Like none of that kind of stuff was an issue, where now different world for sure.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the thing I'm talking about is, I mean, I feel that there is much more positive than negative when the industry gets together, when the community gets together, when our culture gets together, and when we get with other people, when we assemble. It's an important thing as mammals and as humans and as people in this country. People live in different states and shoot different kind of guns and live different lives. When we come together and understand that it's significant enough for each of us to have got out of our house and decided to not do the stuff we would normally do or be more comfortable doing. We all came to a place to experience the same thing and looked around and decided, these people have also done this, right? Like that's something that is, right? Like that when you remove that, there's not that. And there's a difference between having that and the void. It's not just like, oh, I like chocolate cake or I like strawberry cake. There's no difference there. Like there's no consequences either way. Like the lack of that is, I guess, where I'm saying, like you were saying, I always use the analogy when I started going to SHOT, just like I said, we were using regular cameras with film and stuff, going to magazines, which would be published on printing machines, printing presses that probably weren't even electric back in the olden days. So as SHOT has become a place where media has it has kept up with media's change, right? It hasn't prevented media's change. I guess it could have done it a different way and never allowed media to progress. But since it allowed media to progress and media did progress, we went from regular film to digital, and then from still pictures to video, from video to instant pictures online to streams to feeds and immediate online live stuff. So because of that, the industry has changed, and the companies are different than they'd be if that influence of media at SHOT Show had never been there. And that's just the influence of media at SHOT Show. But now let's talk about the influence of cops going to SHOT Show, or the influence of suppliers going to SHOT Show, or the influence of, I don't know, pick all the different people that go to SHOT Show. There's 60,000 of us. So
Sure.
That all getting together and being a crazy mixing spot. I think the reason SHOT Show has been so successful over the years is because that's incalculable or whatever, and it's palatable. Everyone understands it, but everyone just takes it for granted. So we don't think about it. But I think the lack of it would, again, be imperceptible. No one would be like, I don't know, I'm not meeting with hundreds, if not thousands of people and being with 60,000 people. Like we all know our different pulse on the community and the country and the industry because we go wade through 60,000 people to get to the hundreds that we know, to talk to the dozens during those 5 days or whatever.
All right.
Without doing that, we're just a bunch of blips and numbers and our perceptions of what we think the other side of the screen is. So anyway, that piece is where I see SHOT Show going, okay, we're going to be virtual. Like they don't understand the significance and they don't want to champion for that. And then I see our community being like, important, right? We're core. We're like the ability to be an individual is based on our ability to stand there and say no, right? And that's what firearms give us. And because we're core, like if we can get together and say no to something super important, then I would think that could be an example to other things that are less significant, but where they need to stand up and say no, like, I don't know, teachers or healthcare or whatever, immigration, all these different sub things that don't have a constitutional whatever bill protecting them like we do. But anyway, so that's the part where I see SHOT Show being like, oh, let's just go virtual. Like, no, SHOT Show, fuck. It's not just a fucking candy wrapper, or who cares if it's, printed nice on the candy wrapper. You can just go to the website. Like, this is a tangible thing that we're moving. And the evolution, holy crap. I always talk about my experience with media, but what's it got to be like for somebody who does machining, or somebody who does packaging, or somebody who does marketing or advertising? Holy crap. Can you imagine what SHOT Show is and has been over the, 10, 15 years, last 15 years has been amazing change, and SHOT Show adapting to that and staying the 5th largest show in Vegas. Oh, it just sucks so bad. It's like having a fast moving train. I don't know if it derailed or if it just decided to stop and just everybody left and just left this fucking perfectly good chain sitting there.
Right.
Because that's the thing. It's like if it was a snowstorm, nobody'd be bitching. Be like, oh, dang it, snowstorm stopped us from going to SHOT Show. Can't wait till next year. Let's do it virtual. But this is like, did we get manipulated? Did we overreact? Or, are we handling it poorly? I mean, we certainly aren't handling it perfectly. So, it's like because of a bunch of mashed potatoes got stuck on our boot, we're not going to have SHOT Show. It's like, doesn't kind of seem significant enough to stop the momentum we had.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I understand, but I think it, I don't know, got all kinds of political pressure and just, again, there's so many factors that.
Yeah. And how many 60,000 attendees, everybody, all that money involved, and what are they going to play fucking fart around? And then I don't know how much money. They probably had to do some kind of math. Like, this is how much money we're losing every time we sit around not making a decision for another day.
Right.
But anyway, so any other topics?
No, and I'm gonna jump because my medicine's kicking in, so I ain't gonna be able to stay up any longer. But I'll catch up with y'all tomorrow.
I like how he calls his medicine bowl of Lucky Charms. But,
yeah, right. A little stronger than that.
Let's see. So,
well, one of the things that is essential about SHOT Show is also the networking that was mentioned in the chat and in Clover's chat, and that's something that a lot of people are going to have to do without, and are already having to do virtual communication styles with. So that's why I say it's essential. That the human interaction needs to happen. And another thing is you got to get the gear in your hands. So, somebody's flicked up video, uploaded day of shot, or, revealed and live viewing and that sort of stuff. That's not enough.
Yeah, I guess I don't really think about it from that side. Let the commerce figure out how to review their gear or whatever. But yeah, the interaction or whatever, that's made me think of, there's at least one person who everybody knows the manners and shit. Like, of course, and nothing important comes up at all. Like, yeah, great. That's no harm, no foul, right? Like, that's a fine person. And since they didn't do anything specifically in front of me weird, like, they're probably good to go. But then in real life, I don't know, like you see them in a tent, or you see them out of the corner of your eye, and they're, I don't know, picking their nose and wiping it on somebody's hair, right? Like, what the fuck happened right there, right? And then a little while later, they're like kicking a puppy, right? And it's like, what? And then you get on their show, and they're just kind of jovial, and they have good manners and blah, blah, and nothing important comes up. So yeah, maybe they're a good person. Who knows? Then you watch them again, and they're over there spitting somebody's coffee, right? So obviously extreme examples, but that kind of stuff, like, there's people I won't be ever associate with, and that's because I know them in real life, and they are fake ass motherfuckers. Like, they're not real, and that means they're exploiting the shit out of everybody who thinks they are. And some people won't handle that. Like, there's definitely other people who can't sit still with that kind of awareness, and they will say, "Hey, look, here's a fucking fake ass motherfucker." And then there's other people who won't bring it up, and that makes them even more fake, I think. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not really, whatever, my opinions are my opinions, but like I say, there's people that I ain't gonna ever talk to or hang out with, and that's based on knowing what they're like. And I would never know that if I just hung out with them, because then they'd be on their good graces and they never say anything important. So you never know that most of them are shells. Most of them, like, hey, there's just I'm the kind of person who can figure out what everybody's looking for, and I can just be all that in some kind of shell, and then there you go, right? Like, they don't never get challenged. They know to never get in the middle of nothing. They can just always stand there, and it's great. And in a great situation where there's plenty of resources, let them be, right? Who cares? Somebody wants to be fake or whatever. But when there's minimum resources and there's things that need to be done, and they're absorbing resources, they're absorbing people's attention and time, then fuck them. And when they're not necessarily jumping around being successful at it, it's like, do you need to go around knocking out every shell, or just let people know there's shells out there? Scrutinize who the fuck you're talking to or wasting your time paying attention to and shit. Challenge people once in a while. Make sure they ain't just fake. Spitting the coffee, but no puppy kicking. Guess it all depends on your things. But anyway, I was just trying to pick ideas of, like, I've seen some people, if I say exactly, then it'll be, I think, from stories and stuff, people know who I'm talking about. But I've just met enough. I don't like to say I've met them, because I don't fucking go around trying to meet people. But if I'm in the same room with somebody, it's kind of hard to not know you're in the same room with them. There's one dude who'll just stand there at the top of the stairs all day. Well, not all day, but for like a long time, and just shake hands with everybody. Like, oh, you just happen to meet me. Oh, yeah, hey, you just happen to meet me. I'm here. Hey, yeah, it's me. You just happen to meet me. I'm standing right here. Oh, yeah, I was just going to somewhere, but it took me 4.5 hours to move 3 inches. So, yeah, that's me. Like, that's a different person than, I don't know, Guns and Gear? No, Guns and Gadget. Fucking assholes all have the same fucking name. But dude from Jared, right? Dude from Massachusetts. Every fucking time I seen him at SHOT Show, he was in the media room interviewing another 2A motherfucker in the media room, where all the other motherfuckers in the media room were like, eating cakes and sipping cocktails. All right, well, so that's a little bit of bitching about the SHOT Show being weak.
Okay, well, let's go from SHOT Show to International Arms. Where is that held in the same place every year?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the gun show that happens in Vegas?
I don't know where it is. The Clover had mentioned the International Arms Show.
Mentioned it. I didn't hear him. So mentioned it that like had something to do with being near SHOT Show or something. Or around SHOT Show.
No, I was just curious as to where it was held. If it was held in the United States, or if it was an international location every year.
Oh, you mean like an international version of SHOT Show?
Yeah.
Each continent has their own SHOT Show. So America has one. South America has one. Asia has one. I think India has one. I don't know. Yeah, I think India has one. Russia has one. Europe has one. And then there might be more. So, and then there's probably smaller ones. But those are like the ones that Mossberg and Glock and Ruger and everybody will go to. Everybody who can sell, obviously local laws or whatever. But the big companies and the ammunitions and cleaning gear stuff, all that shit's international or multinational at this point. So pretty much all of it. So yeah, they'll go to those, and then some of them, from what I understand, so I've never been to them, is that some of them are like more hunting only, because depending on the laws and shit, and then some of them are like include more military. Like ours is a little unique. In fact, there wasn't even military stuff until I started going to SHOT Show. Like up until whatever that was, 17 years ago, I went to some of the first SHOT Shows that military stuff was in any significant percentage of the show. And I can remember it being sort of a thing, like, oh, here's the military section, but it's also over here. And I was like, well, what the fuck is the point of putting it over here? Why don't you just move stupid airsoft over or whatever? But, you know, looking back at it, it must have been like a big deal to get a piece of the main floor. And then, you know, because it had been traditionally shooting and hunting outdoor trade show. So it's typically competition shooting and hunting, and then other outdoor crap. So there was nothing military in it until whatever, fairly recently, considering it's been around since 1979. But these other ones are different mixes or whatever. And then there's other ones, I guess. The International Arms Show, I don't know if that's any of them. It sounds like it would be Europe, because the other ones just have different names because of their different languages, you know, so they sound weird. You know, like Arms America or Arms Asia, Trans World, you know, they're just different because they have different translations. But there's also just a big gun show that happens in Vegas. It always had been like the weekend after SHOT Show. So if SHOT Show ends on Friday, that gun show would be on Saturday. At least for the last 10 years, because SHOT Show has been more consistent. When SHOT Show traveled from different state to state, it also would change when it was. So sometimes it would be over the weekend, and other times it would be from Monday to Thursday. And then it would be from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Like they just randomly wrapped it around. There was a SHOT Show in Florida where it was the Super Bowl. I think we were at, I don't pay attention to shit like that, but I know that at one of the SHOT Shows, like something happened and they either shut, like the Super Bowl ended or something happened and everybody quieted and they listened to some sports. And then there was beer. And then I think that was Florida. So they actually had SHOT Show. So yeah, they used to be all over the place. Now they're way more consistent with.
Well, one of the things that has occurred to me since this afternoon would be, and others have suggested it, you know, it's you included, you know, it's time to break the contracts and find somebody else. I cannot imagine that other U.S. cities would not be completely competitive, if not offer some sort of, you know, like large inducements to relocate. A lot of cities now have replaced aging arenas and the like, and not been able to fill them. And so if they had something like that going, it'd be great. I was trying to think of, I was wondering about the international show, more for who has an international airport, you know, out, you know, Asia coming into LA and Europe coming into New York. And so I'm not sure, but I was thinking, you know, if we drew a parallel line just a little bit to the west of Vegas and straight across the country to the east, what about like Anaheim and Nashville? I mean, check in. Have those,
California?
yeah, Anaheim and Nashville, because Nashville's you know, just as much a convention city as anybody else in the mid-Atlantic states, and Anaheim's easy access from a bunch of international destinations that would be coming in.
Well, if you're thinking of it like a show for the internationals, but based in the United States, I'm not aware of anything like that.
No, I was what I was
internationals, wherever they are.
right on. What I was suggesting was that SHOT could pull out of Vegas, shift a little bit to the left, and get into Anaheim, or and you know, say do that like spring. So you know, people that are coming down from the northern states have the opportunity to get some California weather, and then if it was in Nashville, like in the fall, I mean, geez, all through, you have easy access to Appalachia, and this time of year you'll miss out on most of the color changing, but it'd be awesome to be able to take, like, say, Blue Ridge Parkway or something like that as a side trip. A lot more interesting than, say, for instance, Sturgis, where you've got like two things to see in the northern plains. It's a lot less interesting.
Well, all right. So there are a couple of things, and you're talking about splitting it up. There's a place called Outdoor Retailer that we've been to, and that is more like a trade show for the sporting goods stores. So boots and sporks and knives, axes and that kind of stuff, which might be a SHOT Show, but then kayaks and compasses. Well, I guess compasses are a SHOT Show, but more of the like camping and hiking stuff and dog stuff. A lot of, like, instead of dog armor and cameras, it's more like frisbees and collapsible bowls you can take to the beach. So and all the stuff you'd stock in a sporting goods store. And that thing is, like you're saying, there's a fall and a winter, I think, or I don't know how they do it, but basically one of them is at a lake somewhere, and all the boat stuff and summer type shit, I guess. I haven't been to that one. And then the fall or winter, I think they called it fall, was the one we went to in Salt Lake City, and that was all indoors. I think there might have been some skiing or something, but we weren't into that. And then, but it was basically like a third of the size of SHOT Show in a big convention center in Salt Lake City, and for like 4 days or something. But that's the other thing I was thinking. You could also have it longer. Go somewhere where there's not a full schedule, so that they don't have to. I'm sure in Vegas you couldn't just do a 3-week long thing. There's too many other things happening in Vegas, to get that kind of a block of time. But go somewhere where you can get a block of time, and then we're going to do hunting, and then we're going to do competition shooting, and then personal defense, and then military. So that people, some sort of thing like that, maybe, where, I don't know, people could prioritize. I'm going to show up at the beginning because that's the stuff I like, or I don't care about hunting. I'm going to show up at the military side. But then I guess the last part would be, I was thinking something like Talladega, where they made this giant shooting thing. I think it's the one I'm thinking of. The CMP made a big giant shooting resort. I don't know what to call it, like, a giant facility. And, again, what if it was just in smaller things, like the hunting stuff is over here in this hotel and the military stuff is over here? And how many people are really going to, to go to the suppliers and to hunting and to military and to personal defense and to competition shootings or something, right? Like, you could potentially put some of the pieces in different venues spread around an area, and then have the center of it be like some focus, like a shooting facility, or probably a shooting facility.
I think the concept of if they build it, they will come has a little bit that might come into play as well, because if they were able to sign, contracts with the shows, regardless of their intended audience, when it comes to outdoor sporting goods, firearms, that sort of thing, and gear. I can't imagine that a city wouldn't take something at the near its outer edges and develop it. Ranges are not that hard to build; they go up quick. So then it'd be there to serve the community following. Could have retailer presences, maybe make it like not like a strip mall, but more like a plaza, and Bass Pro and Cabela's, the bigger stores, they'd love to have shops near the edges of town, and that need gargantuan properties. So yeah, stoking the local economies, I think, would be another great plus to be able to bring something like that through. So what if it went like 3 times a year? What if there was a spring show, a summer show, and a fall show, and it just worked its way across the country? And I'm going to prop Scottsdale, because I know that, like, where they have that ginormous rodeo thing, that would be able to accommodate a lot. And then bump up to middle America. I mean, open up a map of the United States and point towards the middle, and you're in Kansas City. So that's, easily accessible from all 4 corners. So you're coming out of the Southwest, you go into the middle Midwest, and then what about Atlanta? Atlanta's geared up for all that kind of stuff too. So, 3 times a year might not work for everybody, but being on a rotating basis through those venues, those host cities, I think would be pretty cool. I mean, check in. Have any of the ones that you've been in Scottsdale, KC, or Atlanta of any sort?
Well, no. There's a Blade show that happens in Atlanta, but it's not a giant venue. It's like a gymnasium from high school, from what I understand. So I don't know what other events. There's probably concerts and stuff that happen there. But no, I haven't been to those other ones.
Well, mid-year show might not be such a bad idea, I guess. And if that was going to happen, I would prop Anaheim again, because second weekend June is E3, the electronic gaming convention in LA. And we've been talking a lot in the last couple of months about how to appeal to youth firearms enthusiasts, owners, and our Second Amendment future. And games drive interest in that market, in those age groups. That market is truly global and multi-platform. So I think there'd be so much opportunity, for folks to shuttle back and forth between them and have tournaments, as they do already, tons of tournaments. And you can do the same thing with shooting sports. And then, of course, all of the MILSERP folks are going to would blow up at something like that, because we've seen it happen every time there's a new game, a new version of Call of Duty. Stuff just sells to the walls because kids are trying to pick up the stuff that they're using in game life.
I don't know where to go with that one. So I guess we'll have to see when the tally is in, or if they got the demographics or whatever the words would be, to decipher, I guess, what the makeup or the breakdown of the election. I guess I was going to say it'll be interesting to see what the age group is and how that all did break down. Did we see the last gasp of the old people and a whole bunch of old people voted, where normally they don't bother anymore, or they've been dwindling? Or did we see just mostly new people and all the old people? I don't know, because what I mean, with a 50-50 breakdown, that doesn't tell us much. I mean, we know that it's not like we randomly went 50-50. There's got to be some sort of groups that make up the 50-50. And I guess I keep looking at the old group, that elderly group, the boomers, that are such a big number of people, because whenever they all drop at the same time, which they're going to do, that's going to change a lot of stuff. So they're a weight on the balance on the equation right now, and I guess that's what I'm saying is when it's all over, if we're going to be able to see that and know, is that going to all come from Republicans, or is that 50-50? I guess that's, in a nutshell, the concern, right? When all those old people come off the scale, are they going to come off evenly? Or I don't think they're all Democrats. old people, they're probably more conservative, but I'm being oldest or whatever, right? I don't know. I'm being ageist because I don't fucking know. I'm not old yet.
I don't know. New Orleans would be cool too. Just trying to think of places that are used to being full to capacity for all things at least one point in the year, rather than cities that are used to the low strain of travelers. So,
Well,
be
I
interesting
also
to see what shakes out after they announce.
every state or every city really has something, so it's a matter of if what they got to offer would house it, and I guess house whatever version of it ends up, continuing or what. There's probably something to be said for like the size of the fish has something to do with the size of the tank. So if SHOT Show always went to only the biggest convention centers, then it can get really, really big. But if every once in a while it went to a smaller one, and by necessity, not everyone is going to be able to show up and set up, that would keep it a different SHOT Show. I don't know if it's better or not, but I think that would be a different SHOT Show, like a more lean and mean SHOT Show, perhaps. Well, behind the scenes, I think I'm on like third or fourth yawn here. Pretty major yawn that time. Any other topics though before we want to drop it off immediately? There's allegedly 5 people watching, so that would be 3 people, including us.
Could we maybe encourage them to visit the Gear website store? If you can pull up your Instagram, I tossed 4 videos up in between 11 and the start of the show of my October haul.
Actually, one of the things I was looking before, I clicked over to Instagram for something and I started scrolling through. So yeah, I was looking at that. There's a bunch of Instagram activity since last time I was looking at it earlier today. I guess I've been on live shows for a while. Of course, now that I looked at them, is it going to show me them again? I do not. Probably not. No, I don't think it is. But anyway, yeah, I noticed that you had posted something, but I wasn't clicking on any videos while we were talking here.
Yeah, there are 4 different versions, and I rolled in hashtags for everything, and then tagged a bunch of stuff too. So yeah, I encourage people to go check that out. I'm DJ Play Nice on Instagram. You can find me pretty easily. There are a lot of DJs, but I am one that will be happy to play whatever you ask. So check those out. Check out the Gear website store. Make sure you stop in tomorrow night. Tell us about what you're going to do over the weekend to help support 2A. And don't forget, if you haven't seen already, new generation of stripper clip patches just hit the store. Get them before they're gone. I ordered 2 sets.
Yeah, I seen that. Thanks for that. And I'm going to be doing a pick your free patches. I got a bunch of them from the pictures or whatever. So if you've got any others in mind, well, I guess you can let me know because then I can send it to you. But
Cool.
Otherwise, if other people are out there listening or whatever, and ordered something, I think we sold. Like I said, I was on the phone quite a bit today, but I think I heard the thing ring off twice and then it rang off again, maybe in Yankees. So there might be like 3 or 4 orders over there. So if you're one of the people that ordered something, then I think I have a picture after we did the Glocktober thing. I just posted a picture over on Patreon and said, if you guys want to pick patch, let us know what it is. And so there's maybe 5 that people picked, so it's not that many, but I think I do have those removed and then another picture taken. But then I had to take them things off the table. I can't just leave them things sitting on the table forever. So they're in a big bag now. But I think I can use that last picture I took which would be, I guess what I'm saying is it's probably as accurate as anything's going to be, like fairly accurate. Although, of course, you know how Murphy's Law is. As soon as I say that, somebody will pick the one that is already picked, right? But for the most part, I think I can use that, and we'll use that for the pick your own free patch technically tonight, again, or for some of you tonight. Sorry, I'm trying to now find the picture. Oh, I guess I'm not screen sharing. I'm trying to find the picture, but I'm basically just scrolling, and it's frustrating because now it's like, I don't know, 3/4 pictures I've already seen, but of course yours isn't showing up because maybe the logarithm is that good that it knows. Oh, here it is. That we're talking, and it's just being a dick to me. Just that many other people were posting today too. Are we ready to yawn again? So there's DJ's Instagram if you want to go check it out and follow him. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for jumping in again and making the show go. Thanks to Clover who jumped in, and thanks to the people who've been chatting in the text chat. No matter how you want to interact with the chat, that's what it's all about. Have a conversation each night, not a manipulated regurgitation of unresearched stuff. Instead, you know, real conversations so that there's a break from some of that other stuff, not a delusion or a diversion. I don't know the best word for that, but just a break from it and an opportunity to just talk about real stuff. So yeah, I'm not really looking to just have commercials all night or just to reminisce about our own adventures, but instead just to have a place to have conversations. So bring your adventures in, bring your stories in, and be part of it. Don't have to, but you know, it's better with more participation. So unless you got something else, I guess we'll wrap it up. So thanks again for jumping in, and we will be back to pick you up later.